or in the cloud. Okay. Well, welcome. This is Allie Jackson with Escrow Options Group, and you are watching Marketing Mondays. This is a particularly a great topic on protecting your database and your business. And I have a real estate coach and marketing expert, JLo, Jennifer
Hey.
Lopez, on the line here. Hi,
So
Jen.
hi, everyone. Welcome to Marketing Mondays. We're super excited to be back and bringing you a really fun topic today. We're going to be talking about how really to protect your business. And then, of course, that flows into if you're going to change brokerages, which, like we said, is kind of a little bit of a sensitive topic because a lot of agents, the stats show that real estate agents will change brokerages 5 times during the course of their career. Now, there are some people that maybe only switch once and some that switch 10 times, but 5 is the average nationwide for switching brokerages. And I know in the 15 years I've been working with agents, I've seen them definitely make the switch, some more so than others. And so we'll kind of talk about how that impacts your business today as well.
Great. Thank you, Jen. And I'm going to switch this back here because for some reason, there we go. And part of what we're going over is just best practices, best marketing practices for anybody who has their own business. So particularly if you're in real estate, but
yes,
it doesn't necessarily even mean you're making a change. It means because, like you said, over the course of a career, the average number is 5 changes. So even if you're not thinking of making a change, it's good to be aware of these things in case in the future you do, because that is smack dab what we were talking about is your most valuable asset.
Well, and I have to say that if one of the things, if you're thinking about switching, you better have your business protected anyway. And if you're not thinking of switching, you should protect your business from the brokerage you're in. And that sounds kind of weird, like from the brokerage. What do you mean protected? I mean that at the end of the day, this is your business and you need to make sure that you have certain things lined up marketing wise so that you are fully able to execute on growing your business, not focusing on worrying about growing a brokerage, if that makes sense.
That's a wonderful point. And there's so many people who get into real estate a little later in life. They may have started out in a different arena,
Right.
say in a corporate scene, where you put the company brand first. And I know I've certainly been raised that way. And with my corporate background, it was be a company girl. And but the reality is you're in business for yourself when you're in real estate. You have team members, but it really is about taking care of yourself and your business and aligning with others, which we'll get into some of that too.
Right.
But so, I'm
This is what we're going to talk about today. So
yes. And Jen, if you could also just tell a little bit about your background and I'll give a little bit on mine too, because I'm an escrow. So some folks who will be watching this might wonder, why is an escrow rep talking about protecting my business and marketing and all of that? Well, that's my whole background is marketing for about 25 years, having worked in Fortune 500 companies as well as advertising agencies. And also my background in real estate because my parents are home builders. My mom was a broker for 50 years. So this is a great opportunity to kind of marry my 2 backgrounds together. And Jen, you have a deep background in real estate, so please share.
yeah, absolutely. So I started a boutique digital marketing company about 18 years ago and kind of fell into real estate by accident. Some of my clients were agents, and then that led to broker clients, that led to entire teams as clients and training agents in entire brokerages. So I've had the blessing to see it from both sides, the brokerage side and the individual agent side. And so my expertise really is on helping agents create a profitable business model that will help them grow individually as entrepreneurs, because that's kind of what they are, and utilizing digital marketing specifically to help them do that.
Great, thank you. Thanks for sharing. And this, as we said, the housekeeping here, this is going to be available as a replay that I will send out and also give it sort of an evergreen opportunity. So even if someone's checking it out today just to learn a little bit more about branding, or maybe they're a brand new agent, and they'll pick up some good tips.
Yes.
But if changes come down the road later on, they can come back and revisit this. So that's certainly available. And
I love talking about branding too. So I'm excited to get to that slide today, but we have a lot to cover. So let's dive in and talk about protecting your most valuable asset. And what is your MVA, Allie?
It's your database.
Yeah.
It's your sphere of influence, which all should be in your database.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And, you know, I like to tell agents that the fastest way to grow your business is to constantly grow your database. And I don't think there's anyone out there that can disagree with that statement, because that is the only way you can continue to grow, is to continually add to your database. And a lot of times agents get a little bit blasé, if you will, about their database and where it is, where it's stored, and how they utilize it. So we know that most people use a CRM, and a lot of people use a CRM that's connected or given to them for free from their brokerage, right? So what do you see, Allie, when you talk to your clients? Are they utilizing CRMs? And maybe we can talk a little bit about what are some of the better CRMs that are out there. I like to say, you know, agents always say, Jen, what's the best CRM? Which one should I use? And my response always is, whichever one you will actually use, because it doesn't do you any good to have a CRM that you don't know how to use, that's too complicated for you, that doesn't do what you want it to do. Then it just becomes a piece of useless junk. It's meant to be a tool, and it's a tool that you are meant to use to maintain your database and actually nurture your database. And so there's a lot of great ones out there, but the question is, which one will you use? And it looks like we may have lost Allie, so we'll wait till she comes back. And I will say that we'll talk about a couple of the CRMs that are out there. We have, now I'm blanking. We have Lion's Desk, we have HubSpot, Buffini has their own CRM. I know Mike Ferry has his own CRM. You can do it in, you know, I've even seen agents who utilize Gmail. And if you're going to use Gmail, there's an add-on called Streak that you can put on there that turns Gmail into a CRM that you can actually track and follow leads on. If you're into video, BombBomb is a great CRM, and one that you can use for video purposes. And I like that one because it's really personal. It creates that personal touch so that people can see you and be with you, like in an email, because there's something very personal when you see someone and hear them. It creates a deeper connection. So BombBomb's a great tool for that. Not everyone likes that. You know, some people are weird about that. They don't want the video. And I know a lot of people say, well, Jen, you know, I'm just bad on video. And I always say to them, do you sit down? Do you ever take a client and sit down and have coffee? Well, yeah, of course. I go, so what difference is it? They're seeing you on the video, and, you know, they'll see you there, and you're back. Hello.
Yes. Sorry about that. Little tech issues here.
That's okay. It's Mercury retrograde. I was just talking about CRMs, and what are some of your favorites, Allie, that you notice your clients are using?
My favorite one is Lion Desk. I use it personally. There are a lot of really good ones out there. I don't know if you said this when I had dropped off for a minute, but the best CRM system is the one that you use.
I did say that. I 100% agree with you. Yeah.
And I'm having a few more. Oh, there we go. I'm back. Okay. My poor laptop. But you know, there's another really good one that is a Buffini product called Referral Maker. And I know a lot of agents really like that one.
Yes.
It's just a matter of finding something that you like to use and that you will use. If it's too complex and you don't get yourself up to speed on it, it's not going to be effective.
I agree.
But you get the basics, you get trained on it, and it becomes your way of life. it's your memory. Your mind can't handle everything that you're going to have in a good database, which would be
Right.
hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. You just can't remember all of that, and sticky
Right.
notes don't cut it. I don't know if you've ever tried to work your business with sticky notes, but I'll end up with them all over my arm.
Yes.
So that doesn't really do it. Wanda Allen, actually, she's a follow-up strategist, and she has a great philosophy on using a CRM, and that you have to be religious with it, because that's how you really follow up. That's
Yeah.
how you stay on top of things. You can't rely on your memory. Excel spreadsheets are good, but they're not a CRM system. Um, so it really is an important way to stay on top of things,
Yeah.
and you can export it, so you can have it in Excel with most CRM systems. So you have a backup, and you have it someplace else as well.
Well, and you bring up a great point. I think when we talk about protecting your database, I think one of the first things that needs to be discussed is you should be backing that database up. No matter what CRM you're using, you should be exporting your database to an Excel spreadsheet or a CSV file, but you should be backing that up and exporting it somewhere else where you can store it every quarter. So every 3 months, you should be making a habit of backing up your database. This is especially important if you're utilizing a CRM that's provided by your brokerage, because if you end up leaving that brokerage, or even if you just end up not utilizing their CRM, or they switch CRMs, there's a lot of brokerages that are switching up who they're using, right? And if they're going to switch, then you need to make sure that your database is safe and protected. So I recommend backing it up at least quarterly. I know some agents who do it monthly. If you're growing your database once a month, then as you should be. And I like to tell my clients, you should be shooting for a 20% growth every single month, so that you can continue to have a really strong and healthy database to market to. But you should definitely be backing that up. That's one way to really protect your database, is to make sure that you're backing that up and storing it. So I have seen agents who haven't done this, and either they leave the brokerage and they forget to do it and they lose their database. And it's just devastating, because maybe they have a really old backup that maybe is 2 years old, where they, have it from when they first started at the brokerage. And that's just something you don't want to have to go through, because that is your most valuable asset. These are the people that have raised their hand to some extent and said, yes, I want what you have to offer. So protecting your database is critical. The next thing we want to talk about is why you may not want to use your brokerage website. Websites are a really interesting topic, because people go to brokerages for the website sometimes, but there are a couple things you need to remember when it comes to utilizing a website. The pros and cons of using your brokerage is, it's super easy. It's plug and play. If you want to just go and use their website, there's no stress. But the con is, it's not yours. That's not your website. And so you have to be really, really clear on what is the intention of your business and what is the intention of your website. So I just started touching on this one, Allie, talking about why you may not want to use it. I know one of the things you and I have talked about before that's just critical in this component is whether or not you use the brokerage's website, is you really need to own your own URL.
Yeah, definitely.
So talk about that a little bit, if you will.
Yeah, well, and it's not just your own URL, because think about it. If you make a change, and your email address is your first name and at your brokerage's name,
Right.
what's the first thing they do when you leave?
Yeah, they
So
wipe
if
out.
someone's trying to reach you and email you, and they can't get a hold of you because it's shut down. And think of all the materials that you have. I mean, some things might be branded to you, and if they have your own personal email address, your own URL, it stays with you. But
Yes.
you leave, your website comes down, your links are all dead everywhere. HomeSnap, Realtor.com, anywhere that you have had a presence,
Yeah.
all those links are dead, and your email doesn't work. How do people get a hold of you?
Well, and
Gee,
I
what
like to
happens when
say,
someone's
when
ready?
when it comes to branding, the question is, who are you branding? And if everything is branded for your brokerage, you are basically branding and growing your brokerage, not your own personal business. And I believe real estate agents are entrepreneurs and they are businesses of one. Even if you have a team, you're your own business, right? And so it's your job to make sure that you are growing your personal business. So I say the first thing that everyone should always do is just go to GoDaddy. It's so inexpensive to buy your URL, cost you maybe $20 a year. I mean, at most $30 a year, but you should own your own URL. And then if you buy it through GoDaddy, they have packages and options where you can also then get a custom email. So, you know, if your URL, you can get your name at your.com. And so if you're doing that and you're like, but Jen, I don't have the SEO, I don't have the power. There's some ways you can kind of use the power of technology to leverage everything your brokerage has to offer while maintaining that autonomy. And some of the tricks are you can just put a link button on your website that links to the brokerage website. You will then get the power of that SEO is now linked to your site. So it really does help drive traffic. The other thing I get asked a lot is, but what about IDX? What about home searches? Well, let's be frank. Nobody is going to your website to look for homes. They just are not. They're going to Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com. That's where they're looking for homes. They're not even going to your brokerage's website to look for homes. They're going to those other, side websites that's their whole bread and butter is putting up those listings. But you can also use the link for that as well. So you can not link them. I'm not saying to link to Zillow, but you can link to the IDX on your broker site simply by linking to the main URL page to search for homes, right? San Diego Union Tribune has come out with a real estate search engine that's hyper local for San Diego, and it's hot properties. And so you can even link to that hot properties. And one of the advantages, I happen to have the inside scoop on this, one of the advantages of utilizing that as a search engine for your clients is that all those leads come directly back to you. So unlike Zillow, Realtor.com, where the leads, if someone, a buyer says, I want to contact the agent, it usually goes to an agent who's purchasing leads off of those sites. On the San Diego Union Tribune site, it goes directly to the listing agent. So that is a huge, huge benefit. And if you don't have a Union Tribune subscription, you can just reach out to SDAR. I know they give them for free to their members, but definitely check out the hot property section because it's a really great tool to use and it's easy to link to your own personal site. Now your site looks like it's got the power of search when you don't have to pay for it because IDX can get expensive. So I highly recommend that you build your own website. So easy nowadays. There's so many programs that you can do it. GoDaddy offers a quick, easy build on a website. You could do it for free on Wix. You just need something that basically shows, hey, I'm in business and this is what I'm about. The other advantage to owning your own site is you get to determine what information goes on there and where it is on the site. So I always say you should have some strong video on there, strong testimonials, because if people are looking up your website, they're going there to learn more about you and why you are the one that they should choose over someone else. So those are some of the reasons I think you really don't want to use a brokerage website. You want to have your own so that you can control your branding and your messaging. And like you said, Allie, if you end up switching brokerages, all of that goes away and then you have to start over again.
Although there are ways, I know some agents really do want to be on the URL with their brokerage, but you can use your own URL and
Yes.
point it over to the brokerage.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, you can. So lots and lots of different ways that you can do that. But that's another way to protect yourself is to make sure you have your own URL. So what do you need in terms of a communication strategy? And this is to grow your business. And then we'll talk about what if you do switch brokerages. So what are some of your top tips here, Allie, in terms of communication strategies?
Well, I mean, these are all different ways to have a presence out there. Your online presence is important, and
Mhm.
and even if someone knows you and knows you well, or they've seen all your door hangers, they know you from the neighborhood, etc. They know you're an agent. Before they're going to trust their most valuable asset with you,
Mhm.
they're going to check you out. They just
Yeah.
will, and so they are going to check you out. Let's see what does your LinkedIn look like.
Yeah.
A lot of agents don't do a lot with LinkedIn, but they should have a strong profile and presence on there. And it's a
Mhm.
great place to put some testimonials as well. You're a business person. Your business should be on LinkedIn. You also want to go through and do a whole social media audit.
Yeah.
Meaning, do you have dead links? I think we touched on that a few minutes ago. So you Google yourself and see what shows up, and see, do you have a picture from 1980 out there somewhere still? Maybe you want to update that, right?
Yeah.
um,
Right.
and, and just be current and make sure all the links point to you. And it's not a great look when someone clicks through to a link to learn about you and the link goes not available.
Right.
So that's just, it's a quick, easy thing that you can do for yourself right there.
Yeah.
Um, and then part of your whole communication strategy. I mean, you want to have a regular communication strategy making a change or not. But when
Right.
you are going to make a change, you want to have strategized how you're going to announce it, how you're going to roll it out, who are you going to personally call? Yeah, like
Mhm.
every client you've ever worked with should get a call, right? Like if they
Right.
bought and sold with you, you should give them a call.
Yeah.
And then others you can email, you can have a press release, find out what tools are, if you are making a change, find out what tools are at the new brokerage that they can do for you. Ask them when you're interviewing with the managers, team leads, brokers, what would you do to announce me?
Right.
And what resources are available for me to get that big blast out, right?
Yeah.
And you probably want to put out a Facebook Live and do some sort of a video, and people are engaged with that. Maybe you have a lot of stuff that you do with YouTube. That's a great way to put out your information as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think in terms of communication strategies, if you're switching a brokerage, all of those are just key. And if you have a good communication strategy set up now, if you ever do decide to switch, it's easy for you to implement. I'd like to say in terms of a communication strategy, what type of email sequences do you have set up? And again, that goes back to your CRM. You can't really set up sequences out of a spreadsheet. A good CRM, you can set up a good email sequence so that you're constantly giving new, fresh information and content to your clients. Because again, back to your database, it's all building on each other. If you're growing your database and then you're dripping out content, those people are going to turn into leads, and then they're going to become buyers and sellers, right? So your database is just this pool of warm leads that you're nurturing to turn into your new clients. And so a communication strategy is so critical in that. And again, yes, a social media audit. Now, unfortunately, I can't Google myself because it just doesn't go anywhere. All I get is the other JLo, but that's all good too. Maybe it's good. It keeps me a little incognito sometimes, which I don't mind. Um, but yeah, and then the other thing is, if in terms of if you are switching brokerages, you need to make sure that you're communicating with the DRE and MLS, because you want to make sure all of that is updated as well. I think when people move over, there's a lot of things that fall through the cracks. So making sure you have a tick list ahead of time is absolutely critical.
And is this where we wanted to touch on timing?
We can, yeah, absolutely.
Because if you're thinking of making a change, just when you mentioned that with the DRE, it made me think
Yeah,
of this. If you're in the middle of three big transactions, or even one little one,
yeah,
that might not be the best time to make the change.
right.
You'll want to wait till that deal's closed, um, if you want to get paid on it. So,
I want to tell a story on that. I worked with an agent who made a change in the middle of a transaction, and it was absolutely nightmarish because the old broker was not happy that they had left, and they 100% were holding that listing hostage. And it was a $7 million listing, and
mm,
it took a lot of legal maneuvering to get that listing transferred over, because they're supposed to be, in agreement, and brokers are supposed to just transfer to the new broker. But if there's bad feelings, you want to be really, really careful.
Well, and bad feelings, and that ties into this slide when we're talking about brand reputation.
Yeah,
Your brand reputation is your reputation.
correct.
And the way you depart, just like you would depart a job, the way you depart a brokerage, the way you exit anything that you
Mhm.
exit, you want to always be above board. And people will ask, but you don't necessarily have to air dirty laundry. It could just be because you
Right,
like working on a team and they
right,
don't have a team environment where you're at, or you like lots of high tech tools and your brokerage doesn't have tools, or vice
right,
versa. It could be because you like working remote and your brokerage is a traditional brick and mortar, or vice versa. It could be because your mentor made a move and you really like working with that person, so you chose to make a move too. Or it could be
mhm,
because you didn't like each other, but nobody needs to know that because that's
right,
dirty laundry. And there's no reason to air that to your clients. Don't really want to. They'll listen and be a little intrigued, but they probably don't really want that going on with the
no,
person who's representing them with their transaction. So
right,
um, it's always best to, the saying, don't burn bridges. And honestly, in this business, how many times are you going to come around and work? I mean, that some of the people you're leaving brokerages, they might be the next agent on the other side of your transaction,
right.
or they might join where you're at, or what you might want to go back. You just don't know. So
Yeah.
always stay on the up and up.
And I want to say, in terms of branding, and rebranding, if you are branding for yourself, then there's never a need to rebrand, because I truly believe that agents need to make sure they have their own personal brand locked and loaded. And I know brokerages have requirements. So, for example, if you're working at Berkshire Hathaway, they have very strict brand guidelines you have to adhere to. And there's only certain colors you can use in any of your marketing materials. You need to be very, very careful. And so, if you're looking at switching, make sure you research that as well. Does that fall in line with what I want to do? But I think everyone needs to have their own personal brand. On the flip side, EXP, kind of the wild, wild west of branding. You can pretty much do anything you want over there. Um, and I think it's really, really important that you recall and remember why you got into this business. What is your intention, and how far do you want to grow, and build that brand identity around that? I've branded a ton of agents, helped them completely create an entire branding package for them. You start with the logo, you kind of go to the tagline, and then you really dig into your messaging. Because I think when people think of branding, they just think of logo and colors and what's it going to look like? There's so much more that goes into it that you really need to focus on. Yes, you need that identifiable logo, and the colors, that helps, right? But really, the key component of any good brand is your messaging. What is your messaging? What sets you apart from the rest of the pack? And if you're switching brokerages and you have a strong brand messaging, that's not going to shift, right? You're just going to bring that with you wherever you go. So I think it's really important. Branding is really a critical component here. And I think some of the mistakes that like new agents often make, or people that switch brokerages, is they just assume the identity of that brokerage, and that brokerage is not you. Again, when you sit down at a listing appointment, sometimes brokerages matter. I've seen it happen, where there are certain clients, they want that high level brokerage, right? But it can be overcome. Even that objection can be overcome if you have a strong personal brand and your core messaging is like dead on. You're able to, beat out some of those bigger brands, because you're so confident and solid in what your personal brand is and what you bring to the table. Because at the end of the day, the sellers are not hiring the brokerage. The brokerage is not going to be doing all of the marketing and transactional. It's the individual agent. So you just need to make sure that you're really solid on that. Any other thoughts, Allie, on that one?
Well, and I like what you said about you have to have your own brand, but as you also want to align with your brokerage because they have a certain identity and personality, and you want to make sure you're syncing with that. It's because that's representing you. You're
Right.
representing them, but they're representing you as well. And so you do want to know what their what their personality is. Are you in sync with it? Is it in alignment with
Hmm.
you, with your
And I,
ethics, with your way of presenting yourself?
yeah,
And also what's there. Like you have tools on here. What tools are available? And you want to check because you're interviewing them, right? You want to
right.
make sure that you're comfortable with their brand and that you know how to use the things that are available. You like the resources. And if they're not a fit, then you know you could check someone else out too. But it's a really important part of your due diligence when you're even thinking about making a change is know what's available to you.
I think that that alignment statement is 100% right on target. And I think that's something that you really need to find out before you switch, before you choose a brokerage, is make sure that what is my brand messaging and is it in alignment with this brokerage? I think you're 100% on target there because you're right. They kind of have to go hand in hand. You don't want to be completely on one side and your brokerage on the other, then that doesn't make sense. And it's going to be incongruent. And then that's going to come across in your messaging as well. So you want to make sure that it's all in sync. It's a great thing to consider when you're choosing one or you're thinking about going somewhere else.
And I've attended a lot of different brokerage sales meetings, and I think it's pretty cool when the manager, the broker, team lead invites a prospective agent in to just check it out and get to know a few of the agents, if they have that kind of open door, because
Mhm.
that will let you know. Or and this training is also available for team leads and brokers and managers. It's just a tip if you're looking at recruiting in some agents, maybe you want to invite them in and make sure that they're in sync. Every brokerage has its personality. Every office has its personality.
Right? Yeah.
And so it's nice, especially if you have a team environment, for the team members to connect and make sure that they enjoy each other.
Yeah. No, I agree. So what what action steps do they need to grow their business? We've kind of covered a lot of ground here. So we talked about your database, you need to protect your database. We talked about websites, that it's important that you kind of have autonomy over your website, specifically your URL, right? You need to have that. We've talked about the tools, some of the tools that are available to people, and some of the things you need to consider when talking about your brand. So now we can kind of tie it all together. What are some of the action steps that you need to actually grow your business? I know for me, when I work with clients, I always tell them I kind of have my 3 steps, right? There's 3 ways that you're going to grow your business. And if you hit these 3, there's nothing to stop you. Number 1, you have to know your numbers. Number 2, you have to be better than Google. And number 3, you better wow your clients. So if you can hit those 3, sky's the limit. And I've seen agents go from 1 transaction to 20 transactions, just really dialing in on these 3 areas here. So we talked a little bit about knowing your numbers
Mm-hmm.
and working backwards, Allie.
Yeah, this is a big one for me, and I guess maybe this is a good time to have the bad and ugly talk too. What do you think, Jen?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
You ever hear the saying, "Wherever you go, there you are"? So
Yeah.
it's time to take a little personal inventory if you're thinking of making a change, and and especially if you've made a bunch of changes, and to identify, first of all, what am I looking for, but also why am I making a change? Why am I looking at making a change? It certainly makes sense if you're getting different splits somewhere, or like I said, you like the team environment and these types of things. But if it's because you're not hitting your numbers, you're not hitting your goals,
Right.
it's not necessarily the brokerage's fault or the manager's fault or the mentor's fault. That it's the Michael Jackson take a look in the mirror kind of situation,
Yeah.
where if you have a goal of you know 5 deals in the month, 5 transactions in the month, and you're making 3 phone calls a day, is that going to get you there?
Right.
I mean, it's fine if somebody wants to do 1 deal, 5 deals a year. If that's the money they want to make and that's how they want to do their business, it's your business, right? But
Right.
if you have this huge discrepancy between what your goals are and what your actions are,
Yeah.
one of them has to change. They're not compatible. And it's not necessarily anyone else's fault but your own because it's your business, right?
Right.
So that's where the whole working backwards comes. If you identify how many listings do I want to have in a month, and then say, well, what are your numbers? This is your numbers, right, Jen? Is
Right.
out of your listing presentations, how many do you get the listing? 50%, then you can go backwards from that and say, well, then how many listing appointments do I need to have in
Correct.
order to get the number? And then also keep tracking, like, do you always sell your listing, or do 30% of them fall out? So these are all the numbers, and you don't know this unless you track it. And then
Yeah.
when you track it, you can identify, okay, these are my goals here, and these are my action steps, and this is how many, if dialing
Yeah.
expireds is your number one way of bringing in business, then identify how many dials do you need to make to have how many conversations, and out of how many conversations do
How
you
many
actually get an
appointments?
appointment?
Yeah. I honestly think we could probably do an entire Marketing Monday on knowing your numbers, because those numbers are critical. And then you start talking, ROI. What are you spending on your marketing? What are you spending on admin costs? And what is the return on investment for those spends? Like, how much is coming back? Then the other side of the numbers is, what is my net? What is my gross? What is my, percentage going off to the brokerage? Because that's always a huge factor when people are switching. They want to talk about, what's their split. What about caps? Like, there's so many aspects to numbers, and knowing your numbers is so critical. And I think sometimes agents kind of forget, and they get focused on, well, I know my numbers. I want to make, I want to do 10 deals every quarter. Okay, well, great. But like you said, you have to work backwards. You have to know, how am I going to hit those? And what does that look like for me? And in terms of then, what does that profit look like? How much do I have to spend on marketing? Am I buying leads? There's a lot that goes into knowing your numbers. So I think just having that in your mind, that's the first step to take. A great journey is many small steps, right? As long as you're taking small steps, start to think about, do I know my numbers, and what do my numbers look like, and how many different areas of my numbers are there?
And
So
your
yeah, I
numbers
think
don't lie.
numbers don't
Numbers
lie.
are not
Nope.
liars.
Nope.
And
Yep.
so you can't, because especially for someone who's gone from a corporate scene into an entrepreneurial situation,
Mhm.
it's a little different. That's why I think something like an accountability partner is really good,
Right.
because you're used to having a certain way of working, and suddenly you can think you're working, you're busy, you're really busy, but is the busyness that you're doing productive?
Correct.
So don't mix up activity with productivity, because there's a
I
big difference.
100% agree. I 100% agree. So knowing your numbers is critical. Number two is being better than Google. People always go, what the heck does that mean? That means that you better be the person people are calling to get the answers. You don't want them to Google search it. You want them to call you. So you need to be the expert, and you need to communicate that. That goes back to your communication strategy, right? How
Mhm.
are you communicating to your database? And you need to show everyone that you're better than Google, and you need to be proactive about it. You need to be able to give that information to them before they even have to go looking for it, right? You want to make sure that your social media, your email strategy, your LinkedIn, any type of communication strategy that you have going on out there, you want to be proactive in showing that you are the go-to resource for the questions that they have. And if you can do that, I'm telling you, you are going to start doing some serious business in any market. People are like, oh, the market. I'm telling you, right now is a great time for agents that are serious about being agents and being professional. Now is the time to hit the ground and really start investing and doubling down on your business, because you will see huge rewards. Because I think we're going to see a lot of fall off from those people that it was so easy. All I had to do was, someone said, I want to sell my home, and I said, okay, and it sold. And we're not going to be that way anymore, where you're actually going to have to be a professional and, work your business.
And
So,
tell me about wow your clients.
well, wowing your clients, I always say that there's kind of 5 key components to a great client experience. A lot of people go, well, my clients were happy, I sold it. Well, that's great, but are they referring someone to you consistently. And when I say referring, this is a funny thing with agents. Tell me if you see the same thing, Allie, but they tend to think referrals only have to be someone who's going to buy or sell at that moment. And I disagree with that terminology. I mean, that's great. That's a direct lead, right? And that's easy. I view referrals as someone you can add to your database. It's growing your database. Anyone that needs anything from you as a resource, whether it be, I need to know more about a community. I need to know, do you have a good list of vendors? I love my vendor training because that is huge. It's such an easy way to reach out to your database. It's a great resource, and it's absolutely something of value that you can give your database and your potential clients. Because the more you can grow your database, the more you have new pools to market to. So that's just such a critical component. And a referral is just growing your database. So when you wow your clients, they're going to continue to give you referrals, whether those people are ready to buy or sell right now, or maybe they'll be ready to buy or sell in 6 months, or maybe they have a pool of people that are ready to buy or sell. So you have to remember, we've got these interlocking circles. And so, to wow your clients, you need to make sure that it's very personal, that it is interactive, that it is proactive, that it is informational, and that it is memorable. You hit those and you will get consistent referrals. So, and that's kind of out of working with agents and discovering these 3 key areas. That's where I developed my sideline business, which is Magic Moments. And it's all about growing your database through extreme customer care. And I love it because it works. And I think, part of wowing your clients then includes who they're working with when they're your client. That's the right team.
Mm-hmm.
And team isn't just buyer's agents and everyone thinks it's buyer's agents and it's my admin. No, your team is your entire support system. People like you, Allie. So how important is it to your clients to have the right team? Is it important for them to have you guys on their team?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because you do more than just escrow. See, the good team members, they're going to go above and beyond. Allie is there for escrow, but there's so much more that you support your clients on.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's sort of my role as I see it is I'm a connector. I like to train and provide value. I don't deserve anyone's business if I haven't provided some sort of value.
Right.
If it's anywhere from our pitch session to our Marketing Mondays to my Altos reports that I have that are real-time data that comes out every Monday. Speaking of which, we have a training coming up on that, to list reports and all the tools that we make available to agents. But also when you talk about the right team, I actually got a call from an agent the other day who said, "Oh, I got this email from this escrow company, and they're offering free seller escrow, and they'll make their money on the buyer's side. What do you think of that?" And I said, "Well, I mean, if your client is, and this was not a cheap home, if your client is that interested in saving the few $1,000s, but let me ask, like, how hard was it to market this property? How hard have you been working to get this property into escrow? Who do you think they're going to assign to your file for free?
Right.
Is it going to be a certified senior escrow officer like Jennifer Stipe, who communicates and takes care of you and makes sure you close on time? Or is your seller going to have a moving truck pull up and they're not ready to go because they didn't close?
Delayed escrow. Yeah.
You got to have the right team. So while
And
my end of it is the marketing and supporting agents and getting their listings and learning their business more and providing those resources, I have a team of incredible, talented escrow officers and support staff whose sole purpose, it's not like a sideline, oh, we do this and we throw this, it's not a giveaway. It's their sole purpose is to get your deal closed as smoothly, as seamlessly as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that old adage, do you want it cheap? Do you want it fast? Do you want it high quality? Pick 2. You can't have all 3. Pick 2.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you want it cheap, it's not going to be high quality and it may not be fast, right? So if you want it, you just have to really think about what you want. I have seen, working with agents, more deals fall apart because they don't have a good team in place. And when I talk team, I'm talking your mortgage, your lender side, your title, and your escrow. If you have the right people in those positions, they can save deals. Absolutely. And escrow is 100% just a linchpin for so many deals. I've seen things absolutely crumble because the escrow team was not top notch. So yeah, I say you really need to make sure you know who's on your team and supporting you 100%. So if you need more information on any of these, we're here to help. So absolutely feel free to email me. I know Allie's the same way. You can give us a call. And then Allie, tell us a little bit about hot properties so that they can share with their fellow agents, or if they have a listing coming up in North County.
Absolutely. In fact, that's one of the areas where Jen and I partner together along with other phenomenal affiliates on our team. I call them the Dream Team. And we run a pitch session the first and third Thursday of every month at 3:30 at La Papagayo in Carlsbad. And agents there's an email right here, hotpropertiesnorthcounty@gmail.com. They just send in their listing, and by 8 o'clock the Wednesday before the pitch, and we have a whole PowerPoint together. There's a big screen. We stream it to our group that has on Facebook Live that has over 500 agents in it. So it's more than that room full of agents, but it really does get a lot of eyes on your listing that way. And it's also just a great place to network. I've seen some off-market deals come together in that room. So it's
well, and I think especially today in today's market, it is critical that you are showing your sellers that you are doing everything to market the property. And that means doing unique and different approaches and getting more eyeballs on that listing. So yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for agents, and it's fun.
It is fun. It's a lot of fun. And then agents can also share their buyer needs, rentals, renter needs. All of those things are included in the pitch session. So we have one coming up this Thursday, the 6th of October.
Awesome. And then for any of you interested, the next Marketing Monday is going to be all about Altos reports. And that's another key component to be able to, that's part of Be Better Than Google, right? Is utilizing something like the Altos report. So who are you going to be speaking with, Allie?
Yes, so we have Jessica Lucky, who has been running customer service for many, many years with Altos, and she is a fabulous trainer. I've worked with her before, and really breaks it down. So, and let me tell you about these Altos reports, because they are real-time data, which is so valuable because the stuff clients are seeing out there online is months old. And so, and this market is not the same week to week, is it, right now? At all.
Kind of like gas prices. It's going up and down.
And let me tell you, if you have to have that tough, do we need to adjust the price conversation with the seller? It really helps, again, know your numbers, right, Jen? To have the facts. And there's charts and graphs, and it shows what's trending. It shows the average price per square foot. This is what's active on the market today, and not stale old data. And once something's gone pending, it's not included in that. Really helpful when you're setting pricing. It's really helpful when you're trying to level set buyer expectations. So there's a lot you can do with these reports. They're very powerful to bring them into a listing presentation. And because, everyone in a couple is a little different, and one might like the charts, and the other might like the verbiage that's in there, and the other likes the stats. So it's very helpful to have these reports. So Jessica's going to come. She's going to do a whole how to use, how to access. So highly recommend that. That's on the 17th at 11 o'clock.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I want to thank everyone taking time out of their day today to join us on Marketing Monday. If you have topics that you are interested in the future, email either Allie or myself. We would love to hear what you guys are most interested in learning about. And sometimes we do more interactive. Again, this one we touched on changing brokerages. It was kind of a touchy topic. We had a lot of people say they didn't want to actually be seen or go live. They would prefer to have the replay. So we kind of kept this one more in a webinar format, if you will. But a lot of times we're a lot more interactive, and we allow you to put stuff in the chat and ask us all sorts of questions and even come on camera. So looking forward to our future Marketing Mondays.
All right. We hope to see you Thursday at Hot Properties, and then also again on the 17th when we talk about Altos reports.
Yeah. And if you don't have a property, just come on by and say hi and have a drink.
Yes.
Come
Happy
network.
Oktoberfest.
Yes, yes, yes. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. And hopefully we will see everyone next time on Marketing Mondays. I know I'm going to tune in for the Altos reports because got to be better than Google.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.
Make it a great week.